everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you. We were here before, and then all of a sudden we went blank. But we thank God for the opportunity to be back. Like I said, we have a very special guest today. We're marking World Malaria Day, which was yesterday, and the topic was reaching the zero malaria target. So today we're talking about all about malaria, and we have our doctor here with us, who is special. He has all the information we need on this area, and he will be shortly introducing himself. However, he is with us. He has, under his supervision, we have been able to publish about 3 journals and still counting internationally in an international journal, with an international journal. So without further ado, I welcome you, sir, Dr. Olubenga Michael Kusimo, to Satellite Broadcast. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for having me, and it's a great pleasure inviting me to come and talk on Dr. Michael Olubenga Kusimo. I obtained a BSc and MSc from the University of Lagos in year 1996 and 2000, and I proceeded to University of Sheffield to do PhD in molecular biology and biotechnology. I was very fortunate to meet one of the outstanding biochemists that we have in Sheffield, in the person of Professor Dave Ombi, who tutored and trained me in molecular biology. And through his effort, I was able to get into Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, which is the foremost tropical medicine institution all over the world. It has been there for over 100 years, studying malaria, studying the vector, studying the parasite. And I was very fortunate as well to be with Dr. McPain, who tutored me on how to look into malaria and the vector, and to know what exactly is causing the mosquitoes to develop resistance against insecticide. And interestingly, while I was there, I was also able to meet one of the foremost researchers in Africa, Professor Charles Wonji, back to Cameroon to start some work with him. He established an institution which we call Center for Research in Infectious Diseases. And this center has actually done work all over Africa. I'm talking of Malawi, talking of Mozambique, talking of Uganda, talking of Cameroon, talking of Benin Republic. We've gone all around. What are they looking for? Looking for why are the mosquitoes developing resistance towards the few malaria control tools that we have. We're talking of long-lasting insecticide net and IRS, wherein we want to know exactly why are we still having this problem. This disease is over 100 years ago. Why are we still facing the problem of insecticide resistance with malaria disease? And in Nigeria, I've been working, like you said, with SETI to see what is happening in Nigeria. Why are we still having this issue in Nigeria? And we've published some papers, data we can from, the data will be discussed further in this discussion, where we now get to know that until we actually let our pregnant women and our mothers to understand the usefulness of these vector control tools, then Nigeria will not get to anywhere in eradicating. And we are still working on it. A lot of things we've done, and I'm sure I'm going to discuss more. Thank you for having me once again, and I'm happy to be here discussing my work and talking about malaria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I don't want to go into further details, but he's also family, but I don't want you to know so much because I know they'll start asking questions. We are so proud to have you here, sir. Thank you. I want to welcome our friends. Damilola has joined in. Folu Care has joined in. I know Susidam was there before. I want to ask that as many people who need this information, if you could just invite them to join in. Like he said, we are doing this because we bring awareness and information to women and children. And foremost, you should know that malaria is women and children are very vulnerable. Pregnant women and children within the ages of, I think, 0 to 5 years of age are very vulnerable to it. So it's one of the the killer diseases. So it's very important. So call in those people you know will need this information, or try as much as possible to, after this broadcast, send them a clip of this video. So now the first question I have for you is,
Okay.
can you just tell these people who I call the laymen, who do not really have much knowledge about malaria, the things, the basics that they should know, and which would help them to try as much as possible to, keep themselves safe by prevention? What should they know? What should we let them inform them about malaria?
Okay, thank you. Malaria disease is actually a tropical disease because it is now most prevalent in tropical areas of the world. So it's more or less now like a third world disease. And it's actually a very interesting disease to me because malaria parasite is very smart in the sense that it has its reservoir in man and reservoir in mosquito. So the mosquito will go and bite human being and then use the blood to actually make their own egg. So they need the blood to make their own egg to be to develop, and then they look for breeding sites, water pot, where they will deposit the egg and the egg will grow, and then the cycle will continue like that. So malaria disease is actually something that can be cured if we understand the two ends of the reservoirs. So malaria parasite will go into man through mosquito, and then the parasite will go into the liver of the person, develop there, and then release into the bloodstream and attack the blood, and then reduce your blood count and cause problem. So everyone should know that malaria has cure. We have drugs that can cure malaria, and also we can prevent malaria. We have control tools that we'll be discussing further in the program and how to use them that can be used to prevent malaria. It will not be seen as a problem which will continue to go forever. Malaria has been here for over 100 years now and seems to be an ancient disease. It shouldn't continue. We all should stand up and stop malaria so that we can have a better future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Well said, sir. I know that we are even making you talk about areas that you are not supposed to, but I just want us to really give these people this information. For instance, you talk about we can actually control malaria, and there are so many things that people fail to do. They fail to take responsibility. And one of them is I observe that people do not know exactly when they have malaria. When they have a symptom, they just come, any symptom whatsoever is malaria. And so you find out that people are treating malaria instead of typhoid, or sometimes they are treating typhoid instead of malaria. So I want people to understand those basics, like whatever they should look out for to say, okay, should I go for a test to confirm if I have malaria? The symptoms or the signs.
Yes, thank you. Malaria disease is such that the symptoms is very close to other diseases, and one should be very careful about how we treat malaria. But importantly, people with malaria, we have fever, we have headache, we have we'll be shivering, the advanced stage will be vomiting, and then if it is inside older children above 5, then we have what we call cerebral malaria. And also in this case, of course, we have experiences what we call paroxysm. Paroxysm is like a cycle of events wherein you feel cold, you shiver, then all of a sudden the sense is breaking, and then you feel hot again, and then the following day the cycle continue like that. So at this point, when you are feeling this, please go and do a test. Don't think is the same as malaria. And interestingly, if you, Lagos State recently just told people when you are feeling feverish and you think you have malaria, go and do test, because it may be COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Because COVID-19 too is the fever, temperature will go up, and then you will think you have malaria. And a lot of other diseases like that too, that malaria is like a common denominator for most of them. So please,
Yeah.
these signs, these are the symptoms. But we're not saying when you have the symptoms, go and take malaria drug. We are saying have those symptoms, think you have malaria and other things, and then go for tests so that you know exactly what you have. Maybe I can chip in this thing. When I got to the UK, I thought I have malaria and I thought I was feeling feverish. And I went to see my GP. And when I met the GP, I told the GP, I think I have malaria. I said, oh, you have malaria? Okay. And that gave me papers of series of tests to do. You won't believe it. The malaria disappeared once I saw those papers. So we need to not just think we have these symptoms and believe that we have malaria, but we should please go and do tests. But these are the symptoms, and when you feel like you have any one of them, then maybe malaria. It may be malaria. Thank you.
It's true. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You know, we will keep emphasizing it throughout this broadcast that people should take responsibility for their health. And one of the responsibilities they should take is to make sure that they treat themselves appropriately. Don't assume that any symptom is malaria. So there's need for confirmation. Confirmatory tests are available. That is one of the major things we do in SETI. When we go out for our medical outreach, we carry out massive free malaria tests with our kids, you know. And so please, people can make themselves, can take such advantages wherever they go to do tests to confirm if they have malaria. More people are joining. So Dr. Sir, the next question I have for you is a very interesting one. So the next question is, we've talked about the symptoms. Now the treatment, because you have rightly said that there is treatment. It's not like other, infection or diseases that we do not have a treatment for. If there is a cure, there is a treatment. But how should people advance this treatment? I don't know. For us here in this developing countries, we find out that there's been a lot of abuse of some of the malaria drugs, and there's high resistance now, which is one of the things that you are researching on, both of the preventive and as well as the drugs. So sir, can you just talk to us about what people should know, how to advance treatment appropriately?
Okay, thank you. Like we said when we're discussing the symptoms, when you have any of those symptoms we've mentioned, please the first thing you do and make sure it is malaria. Then we have drugs, and all of us will remember chloroquine. At some point, it became like sweet in some of us' mouth because we chewed it for so long. But after a while, researchers discovered that chloroquine starts stopping to cure malaria because the parasite started developing resistance against chloroquine. And chloroquine is actually a very, very important drug. So it has to be withdrawn before, when resistance starts like that, one way to reduce resistance is to withdraw the drug, because that drug is very important and it should be the last resort drug instead of just abusing it. So it was withdrawn. And artemisinin-based drugs are now being introduced in combination with other drugs. So please, when you have the fever or the headache or pain in your joint, first do the test and then meet your doctor, because some of these drugs you can't just go there and buy and start using it. Meet your doctor, they will recommend the very best one for you. But it is treatable, and we have all these artemisinin-based drugs that are available there for you to use, and definitely they've been doing wonders. Unfortunately, because people have started abusing artemisinin-based therapy as well. There's been a report that also has been resistant towards artemisinin-based drug. So please let
Wow.
us be responsible in the way we use drugs and not abuse drugs because they are available. Most of other countries, malaria drugs are not OTC drugs. But in Nigeria, you can just with 200 naira buy this, 1,000 naira buy that. So we should be responsible, like you have said, make sure that we are sure that we have the parasites in us through tests, and then we approach our doctor or pharmacist to recommend and prescribe the drug to use. Please don't just go because you heard us say use this and go and be asking. Let it be prescribed to you. Thank you.
Yes, I think I read somewhere in the, I think in an article that the malaria parasites, they have stages, and depending on what the doctor has diagnosed, he will now make appropriate prescription. But we will just go and just jump on it and take it. If you are in stage 2, then in stage 3, you have a regimen that they give. And then there's another thing I wanted to say. I think they also mentioned something like, if you take the drug, some of us will just say after 2 days, I'm better now, and they stop taking it. That is also abuse. So that can also cause resistance. Am I wrong, doctor? Please,
yes.
can you
What you just said is really very key and important. Resistance starts when you have lower doses of some of these drug in the system that the parasites met in your system. And because the dosage are not enough to eradicate all the parasites, the next generation, because the parents have met with some of these things, will make some changes in their genome to make sure that when next the daughter of the parasite meet that same, then definitely they will have developed resistance. And then the drug will be used again. So when we are given the drug, we should follow the regimen completely and finish it, the dosage. Not that, because like we said, most of the time is not malaria that we have. It's just because we are just like call it placebo effect. That is malaria. I want to take it. The next moment you are okay and say, wow, it's wonderful, and then you go about your business. What we are doing is, in fact, if we test some of us, chloroquine will still be in our body because we have used chloroquine. And with this one, anytime the parasite gets contact with that residue, the possibility of them developing resistance and mutating to form a very lethal organism is very, very high. So it is true. Please, when you have the drug, use it and complete it the way your doctor or pharmacist recommend to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. It's getting more interesting. I've not seen any questions, so maybe they don't have questions, but without God, we still have questions. But as soon as I'm done, I will let our doctor go. So if you know that you have questions, please send them in now. Okay. I also want to say that we've talked a lot about treatment. I know you in particular, you are more for prevention, because we find that a lot of things in this developing side, the developing country, we don't even have so much, financially, we can't fund this thing as much as we want, like they do abroad in the developed countries. So people always, and they emphasize prevention. So I want us to now go into the preventive, aspect of malaria eradication. I want to ask, first and foremost, what are the preventive tools? And what, like we said, what will be the part of the people, especially the women we are talking to, and for their children, what should be their part in ensuring that they prevent malaria? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Like we've said, the malaria disease is in two parts. We have the vector, that's the mosquito that takes the parasites and infects people. And then we have the parasite itself that resides and causes malaria disease. So the best way to really treat malaria and eradicate malaria is by preventing the parasite from getting from mosquito to man.
Mm.
When malaria started in about 100 years ago, USA, the European countries, what they did was to use insecticides. And because these are developed countries, and they have the will, because it's a different thing to know what to do, it's another thing to have the political will to really do it. So they have the political will, and they eradicated mosquitoes
Mm.
throughout the country, throughout their region, by using the insecticide we call DDT. The DDT
Mm.
was sprayed all around and all the mosquitoes died. Because
Wow.
if the reservoir is killed, that means it cannot transmit it to man. So, and that is the best way instead of using drugs, because some of these drugs have
Mm.
adverse
Hide the
effects.
sheep. Yes.
So after, but the DDT, that drug became an issue because of environmental issue that it has. It's not easily degradable in the environment. So the World Health Organization changed tactics, and now we are using a more degradable insecticide. And this insecticide, phytoid and some other ones, phytoid is the major one, they have now put it inside mosquito nets, and also they can use it as indoor residual spray, and also use it in the field, because this insecticide can degrade better than the DDT. So the mosquito net is actually one of the key vector control tools that is being given out. Billions of dollars have been spent on sending this mosquito net out. And in
Mm.
Africa, because that's now the major area where we're having malaria issue, tons and tons of these mosquito nets have been given to people. But what do we discover is that people that are supposed mosquito, they don't really understand. You won't believe
Mm.
it, they will give some of them in the riverine area, instead of sleeping under it, they were using it for fishing nets. And so, and some people too, because they don't really understand fully well who really need this mosquito net. You won't believe it, in one country that Creed visited, the parents were sleeping under the bed net, whereas the children under age 5 were sleeping outside. And they were like,
Oh.
that really need this mosquito net are not sleeping under the mosquito net.
Yes.
And they said, oh, we need to be ready to take care of the children. If they
Oh.
more. So these are issues that we have with the vector control tools that we have. So the mosquito net is really very important, and that is what has reduced mosquito and malaria infection seriously from 2010 downward. We've seen a significant reduction when we had increase of distribution of the bed net. So this bed net should be properly, and if properly used, definitely we'll be able to prevent the bite by the mosquito when people sleep under it. And then we also discover that per family, you can have just one mosquito net per 10. This is not going to work. There are limited
Mm.
number of that should sleep under the mosquito net. And then the government should do a lot of work in supporting and educating the pregnant women, especially, and nursing mothers, on how to
Yeah.
properly use these vector control tools, especially the mosquito net, because that's the one they can easily use. The indoor
Yeah.
residence spray is a bit not easy for them to use, but we
Mm.
have the smaller one, the fleet or the big gun that we use.
Mm.
Yes, so, and when we have that, you want to use it, people don't use that properly as well. When you want to use that, you spray the wall, not just spray the hair. I have noticed that people just spray everywhere. No, it's the wall. Because when the
Mm.
mosquito gives you a bite, it takes a flight to the wall and rests there. So once
Mm.
the wall to rest, that is when it will be in contact with the insecticide there. and then it will die. If you spray just in the air, everything will go to the floor. Not so, it's just use wastage of the insecticide. So people should be properly, though we have these vector control tools, but people should learn how to use them properly, especially those who have mentioned the long-lasting insecticidal net. Some people will even be marking it, drawing holes in it. Mosquitoes are very smart, they know how to get to it. So long-lasting insecticide treated net and indoor residence, they are very key vector control tools that are out there for people to use. And also, people should go to the right place to purchase their net, because we also fake nets outside there that people are selling. I'm sure we may still have time to discuss this in the other segment of the program. So I'll talk about that later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. Well, I have just been educated, and I believe people who are here at least have just been educated. I do that. I spray the air, but now I know that yes, to get better results, I should do that on the wall. And so, please, we should inform people that.
Yeah.
That's why we find out that we use a whole bagon, a whole can. And yet, nothing happens. You still find out that you are seeing mosquitoes flying all over the place. It's so sad. And then I also wanted to point out one thing you said. You talked about the, how the developed countries, eradicated the parasites. I mean, the mosquitoes and all that. And I just feel that if we had even done that in Nigeria, because of like we said, it's a tropic. It's a tropic in parasite, it's a tropic insect. It would not have worked. Or what do you think? Because of the heat that helps it thrive.
No, it can work because apart from the fact that it has to be large scale in the way they spray the insecticide, also the hygiene level is very high. People don't leave bushes all around. All the roads are tarred. You don't have holes with potholes, and you have leaves and bushes all around. So if you look at the surroundings in almost all African countries, you will see a city and filled with bush. They are not flowers, they are bush. To decorate is a different thing. They are bush. And if we can cut the bush and do all these things, remove what we call breeding site. When they take the blood, like I said, the egg will develop and they need where to deposit the egg. If you can break any of that chain, then definitely we'll be able to eradicate malaria. So if the mosquito, after even taking your blood, cannot find anywhere to lay the egg, or have to travel miles before it can get another breeding site, then it will be away from you. That's when you push the malaria disease away, push the parasite away from your region or your area. And you won't believe it's not that the mosquitoes are completely eradicated. No. Mosquitoes are not completely eradicated in these regions. It's just that they've been able to kill all the parasites that mosquitoes will have a place to carry at that time. So now mosquitoes that you see, because I see mosquitoes all around, they don't have parasites to carry. So if we can do that and have the willpower to push nationally, because individual cannot do this, and we eradicate all the mosquitoes we have presently in Nigeria today, all the parasites in them will die. And then if we treat the parasite in our body, new generation of mosquitoes will not have any parasite to carry to infect other people. And also, I must say this, not all mosquitoes carry malaria parasites.
Yes.
Most of the mosquitoes we see in the tires, in the gutters, they are not malaria parasite carrying mosquitoes. The only one that carry mosquitoes is called Anopheles, and we have the Gambians, the Netors. There are a lot of them, but those are the ones, and you don't easily see them in the gutters. Really, the breeding sites are well known. So if the country decide that we want to face this, we know where the breeding sites are. We have scientists in Nigeria that are actually marking all the breeding sites and locating them all over the world. So we know where to attack. And if we have the way to do it, I'm sure we can get it done in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. I would ask you something, but somebody asked a question. He said that what will we do for these? People are so stubborn. If you ask them, and I think it's one of the responses we got from the research. They tell you that the reason they are not using this preventive, this mosquito, insecticide treated nets, is because of heat. Because of heat. So what solution? What is I think what should we tell these people?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, because I think it came out, like you said, during our research work in
Yes, sir.
Port Harcourt. And
Yes, sir.
some of them even said they don't believe in the mosquito net and whatever. You see, we need to know that this is a fight that everybody needs to fight, and we need to face it squarely. If not, this malaria will not go.
Exactly.
There are some nets, like I said, most of the nets we buy in Nigeria are counterfeit nets. Those other nets, the good nets have been made, and they've tested them in African countries. They've tested them under different conditions, and they've looked at how comfortable these nets are before they roll them out. So if you must buy net, make sure you buy the original net. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we have original nets in the market. I'm not very sure. But those ones distributed by the government, those ones are really very, very good. So if you have them, unfortunately, what we also discovered was that this net being distributed, some people just keep it at home, not use it.
Yes.
And then you'll be giving it out one by one to people as gifts. No, that is very wrong. We will not really be able to fight malaria if we do it this way. So please, if you are uncomfortable in the net, check the net you are original. If it is original, it shouldn't be giving you that discomfort, much of that discomfort. Then some people also complain that the smell is horrible. They cannot withstand this. So what we discovered also about that net is that those ones that give that kind of smell are actually the counterfeit one. So those ones that are original, that are real, they do not have that kind of smell. So you need to know the net and use it properly. And please, it is just for a while. We can really overcome it through other means, giving good ventilation to the room and other to balance between the discomfort and the malaria disease. So which of these is it this we can control? But the malaria, the mosquito, like I said, they come to bite you when you are sleeping, when you are enjoying your sleep, and they will deposit the parasite in there, and they will go free because you are not sleeping under the net. You think, oh, it will give me it. And then after a while, you have to spend 1,000 to buy malaria drug. If you are sleeping, you won't spend that much. And you can see the economic impact of the malaria disease. So we should, number one, look for genuine and original nets to sleep under. They are comfortable. They've been tested. It takes years before these mosquito nets are rolled out. And when they did, they were sure that everything is fine and people are comfortable, because these are questions they ask them. When you slept under the, was that it, was that this thing? And based on that, they modified and get a better net. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You are just hitting the nail on the head. I think people will really, really be blessed by this information. I also want to say that in the course of the research, we also discovered how economical prevention was than cure. I think it was in one of the years, in the studies before us, that you find out that it's better, it's more economical, it's better, far cheaper to prevent it than to cure it. And for those of us here in this our region, where you could go to a community, I've been to communities where there's no single health facility. The nearest health facility would be over 1 or 2 hours away. So for such people, I think prevention should be the major, outcry to such people. So the other question I wanted to ask is this: people say that because it's the parasite is transmitted into the blood, that people can actually contact it through blood transfusion, transplants. I think we didn't mention that, so that they can confirm, because some people say it's true, some say it's not true. That using blood through blood. I wanted to highlight on that.
Okay, thank you. Malaria parasite is actually majorly transmitted through the bite. When bloods are taken and doing blood transfusion, remember the blood is not directly taken from the person you are taking it from and transferring. It takes a while. They store it, and then before it is used. So during the process of storage and other things, the parasite, even if it is there, will have gone down or completely gone. And also, for blood transfusion, they don't just collect people's blood. They do testing. They test if the person has HIV, for instance, malaria, for instance, and other stuff before they take the blood. So at the point of protection, they already will have looked at if the blood has malaria parasite before they store and give to people. So the possibility of really getting malaria from transfusion is very slim, very, very. The major one that everybody knows is through mosquito bites. So if you can prevent mosquito bites, then we'll prevent the parasite from getting into us. And then if malaria tools very well, then all the mosquitoes will be killed, and then there is no parasite for them to transmit to people. So it is very important for us to know blood transfusion are actually screened before they give it to people. So they won't give you blood that has any parasite in it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. That has answered the question. But is it possible at all? If it's possible, because one thing I noticed is that we have very quack blood donation centers where people don't do screening a lot. I've even seen where people go to blood banks and they screen the blood just before they use it and find out that even after they have bought it, that it was HIV positive. So it was one of the things that people started bringing up as a way of means of making people to be very careful when they collect blood, buy blood for for transfusion and all that. That's certain possibility. So, but is it possible at all? Since you are saying if they can be screened in careless cases, in a situation where people are careless.
Yes. What I say, let's say like between 1% to 5% may be possible.
Maybe. Okay.
The negligence of the people collecting the blood in the first instance, because it was supposed to have screened. So if they did not do that, that would be the percentage that we're talking about that it is possible. But majorly, another thing we should know is that for adults that have been exposed to malaria parasite for long, somebody like us, we've developed some immunity against malaria, such that if it comes into us through the blood, there is no way that our body will not fight it off. The immunity will go low if there is reduction in exposure to, for instance, if we travel down to the UK, the immunity will start going down. So for you, for me, those of us that hardly leave Nigeria or we've stayed for long and we've been exposed to malaria parasite, we've developed some level of immunity. Even pregnant women, they develop immunity, but during pregnancy, there is a lot of for the body to produce hormones, for their body to produce protein for the growing fetus in them. And so their own body will determine which one is important. Is it killing or developing the baby? So that is where the issue comes in for pregnant women, wherein the body will divert the material. It's the same material the body is using to produce the antibody, which is a protein, to produce the hormone, to produce the cell, which needs a lot of protein. It's the same material. So the body will just like, I'm not interested in killing parasites. I'm interested in making beautiful babies. So that is why women are actually very, very vulnerable. So, if not adults, generally, we shouldn't really be afraid of blood transfusion that may be parasitic. No, because it should have been screened, and then we have some level of immunity. But now, their own level is very low, and then transfusion, then definitely they may get the parasites in them.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Well spoken. Before we round up, when you were saying those of us who are always in Nigeria, I agree with you that we're always in Nigeria. But once I traveled somewhere, I saw, and this thing I'm telling you, I saw something that looked like mosquito. And I told myself, I said, it can't be. They say there's no mosquito abroad. It can't just be. Now I know that I saw mosquito. It's just that it just didn't have the parasite. It would have really been, the other way around. So, sir, the last question, since there is no other question coming, although I can see a lot of people sending in some love and likes. Thank you for loving on us. The last question, this is where we would, round up. I want us to bring up all the, the results from the research here. How can we attain zero malaria? I know that it is a very, is what the World Health Organization is trying to see that they bring about, especially in countries like Nigeria. How? What is our, our progress so far, and what is the, other efforts that needs to be made for us to attain, even if not zero, close to zero malaria, attain zero malaria? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start with the situation in Nigeria. Nigeria have done a lot of malaria eradication strategy, like I think 3 or 4 so far now, wherein they pump in a lot of money to bring in vector control tools like insecticide, treated nets. They propose that they will go to the breeding site to spray insecticide so that we eradicate the mosquito. And then year in, year out, the last one, if I remember, the target, the projection of Nigeria was to at least get to a certain level of malaria control by 2020. We're in 2021 now, and we are still not there. And just yesterday, I was reading that Nigeria alone, we will need 352 billion yearly to combat malaria. Honestly, we will get to the same point, to the same results, if things are not done differently. In the sense that we need to find a way to educate the end users of these programs. We need to get to them to educate them on how to effectively use the tools we are going to be giving to them. Until they take ownership of eradicating malaria, we will not be able to do it. Yes, the vector control tools are there, the drugs are there, but if the end users will still be using the same, using them the same way they've been using before, then to achieve zero malaria will be very difficult. WHO actually has a target that by 2020, they will eradicate malaria. well, which is a very good strategy, and they are pumping in a lot of money. And I think we have to come in to talk about vaccine. People should ask, are there no vaccines for malaria? Yes, there are vaccines. There are about 30 vaccines that are going through trials right now. In 2020, there's one we call RTSS that has gotten to phase 3 trial. Unfortunately, it's not really getting to. I think the efficacy was about 50%, but it is still being pushed so that we can have a vaccine. And the problem with vaccine, is the cause of drug abuse, especially in Nigeria. You can't believe it. When that program was rolled out, the testing, the trial, they did not pick Nigeria. They picked Ghana. They picked Malawi. They picked Uganda. They did not pick Nigeria because they know they are coming to fail if they try the trials in Nigeria. People already have abused all the drugs, known drugs, and the parasite we have in Nigeria a lot of mutation. There was a paper published through my friend Dr. Sulaima, working on the parasite, and we discovered mutations on the parasite that are resistant to drugs. So if we must have a vaccine that will be, then we must use the drug properly. And interesting again, yesterday, I think, to mark the Malaria Day, Oxford University published a data on another vaccine, which is called R21. And that vaccine was very promising. I think that got to 77% thereabout of efficacy, which is very promising, and everybody was so happy about the result of that trial. But that is still in phase 2B. It still has phase 3 and a long time to come before we get to have the vaccine out there. So another problem we may be having when the vaccine comes is also that people already have a bad notion about vaccine, especially when it is malaria, and nobody wants to take it. Vaccine that's been rolled out is similar to COVID-19 vaccine. They are made in a similar way to the one they are making now, and I believe we need to start sensitizing ourselves. They call them recombinant vaccines. The recombinant vaccines are made from protein spike from the parasite or the virus. So instead of virus or parasite in people, are just taking part of the parasite and making the protein and sending it to people. That's where you see the mRNA vaccine come out. So all these are recombinant protein. Yes, a lot of work will still be needed to get the new vaccine to be very acceptable and for us to understand how they behave, the adverse effects. But then, when we are in a dire situation like the COVID-19, a lot of people are now like you, they just have to get the vaccine for normal life to resume. So I'm saying there are vaccines coming, and probably with the vaccine, we may be able to get to zero malaria by the time 2030. But then we will need the input of our religious leaders, like we saw in the paper on polio, where the Sultan had to come out and embrace the vaccination before we can end polio. I guess we'll get to that point in malaria as well, wherein all leaders, religious leaders, all notable people, we have to take ownership of the vaccination for it to actually work, so that we can have zero malaria in Nigeria and in Africa in general. Because this disease has been here for ages. All generations are making malaria. We should stop the music now by everybody standing up and doing their own part in making sure that we end malaria in the nearest future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll round off with this. You talk a lot about acceptability. People must, learn to appreciate these preventive procedures and methods and accept them. But there's another thing I want us to end up with: accessibility. You talk about them pumping in a lot of these things. World Health Organization, they spend a lot and they send in donations of these insecticide treated nets. But I find out from my own experience that some of these things, when they get to either the state level or local government level, people still have to go and buy them. Or better still, they give it out to family, and the people who need them don't really access them. That's a major problem. That's one big problem. So that also, we need to look for a way around it to make this thing, because just like you rightly said, when they can't access the right one, the true ones, the appropriate ones, they go and buy the fake, thinking that they are helping themselves. So I just want to highlight this point. We'll just say something about it before we end. I hope that the government will hear us, the people in the head of affairs will listen to this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think in Africa generally, we know corruption is the real thing that is affecting every sector, whether it's health, agri, the fertilizer that's supposed to go for farming, the money will not get to where it will be bought and distribution channel. So same thing has been happening with these vector control tools that are being distributed. People, the facilitators, the nurses, the people that are supposed to distribute it, they will aud and keep some, and then be giving people free as if it is their property to be given out. And also they will audit and be sharing among them. So people that don't really have it. In one of the publication on the net, we discovered that some of the people that we collected net from, only one, none of them even bought it. Most of them got it from friend, from this, from and we discovered that this net, one of them in particular, was distributed, I think year 2010 was when it was distributed. The label was there, showing clearly that it was from Malaria strategic plan that they distributed it. And we are talking, the person got it maybe 2018, thereabout. Already, the lifespan of the net is actually just 4 years. So, fortunately, net was still okay. But that means by the time they are using it, the efficacy will have reduced. I mean, the lifespan will have reduced. They won't be able to use it for the and especially in a place like the riverine area, oil producing, the soot, the carbon emission. So all this way, the government should really face the problem of corruption, if we have to get, because not getting the money to buy them, making sure that we break the chain. And I think that was one of our recommendations, wherein we said the end users should be part of the planning. The end users should know that it is their right and demand for it, so that when they get to the clinic and somebody is trying to sell it or tell them that it has finished, they will have the record that in our local government they gave 1 million net. So they are involved from the beginning in the way the planning is done. They know where to go to get this net. Nobody will be able to shortchange them in getting it's very important. And I believe with that in place, where the end users are actually involved in everything we do, not just for the malaria, for COVID when it starts, start going full bloom, vaccinating everybody, where you will get them involved in the process. They know where to go to, how to get this net, and then they can easily report that, well, it seems only 1,000 you sent to our region instead of 1 million. I think that would be a way forward, where the end users are really involved in the planning and the start to work. I guess so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very, very much, sir. I'm tempted to say that we should mention a little bit about the emission affecting the efficacy of the malaria treated nets. I think you were diving into that a little bit. I don't know if you can just mention a little bit about its possibility, because in this our area here where all this gas emission and all those things, what is the effect on the mosquito-treated net, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we discovered was that most of the nets, because when the suits gather on the net, people need to wash it. The washing technique, which people should know, and they should be trained about how to wash it and how to keep the ingredients on the net intact. I think in one of our publications, we stated all the procedure, how to wash it, how to take care of it properly. We discovered that some people will just wash and wash away all the aspects in open, in the sun, and everything, you know. So the insecticide in it, pyrethroid, once there is water, because this is one area I've researched on, once there is water with the pyrethroid, the rate of degradation is very, very high. So once the sunlight gets to it, the photolysis will happen and break it and turn it to a useless ingredient in the net. So you still have nets, probably the smell is still there, but they are no more efficient. And I would say some of this net is not one you use forever. Like as if you have a house that you are living in forever. These nets have durations. These nets 4 years. What we discovered, because of the way people watch nets, number one, because they got it late. Some of the nets have been made 2010. They are just getting it 2015. And some of them are actually counterfeit. So we discovered that the net that's supposed to last for 3 years are now lasting for just 2 years. So people should be observant, and we all know where mosquitoes are, or the frequency of malaria. If you are using bed net, you shouldn't be having malaria too often. So you should know that maybe you need to change the net to a new one instead of using the same. Some people use net for 10 years. It is not so. The net, if you look at they wrote the lifespan of the net in there. And so we should follow it properly, and if we do that, I'm sure the net will be enough to at least prevent the transmission of the parasite into our body, and then malaria cases will start going down. That's point having and not using it properly, because in the record it will be there that we've distributed the net. But whereas people are using the net wrongly in riverine area and petroleum area, exploration area, to know that they are in a special case. As they are getting money from petroleum, they should be spending it to replace nets. Yearly be bags. And then how they dispose the net is also very important. Some people just use the net and throw it anyhow, anywhere. So when the net gets to the breeding site, the ingredients in it will wash into the breeding site, and then when the mosquito delivers the egg inside, and the egg will develop, they will develop resistance as they are weights. So it should be disposed properly, it should be used properly, and if we do all this, I'm very sure we will end malaria disease soon in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't know how to express our gratitude. You have spoken well. I do not think anybody after hearing this broadcast will still be in error. After this broadcast, people will be, informed, well informed on how to carry out, what to do, or activities to take out or carry out to keep themselves safe. So on this note, we'll call it a day on this broadcast. We want to thank all our friends who joined in, all our followers, and those who will still view or watch the broadcast. And once again, before we let our Dr. Michael go, I want to say thank you, sir. We appreciate you. SETI appreciates you for all the work you have done and all that, yes, we appreciate. And this that you have said it will go a long way to help our women and children who are our target beneficiaries. So on this note, we say goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Yeah.